Cambridge, home to the theory of gravity, the electron, jet propulsion, and curiously, the cat flap and the thermos flask. A veritable hotbed of world-changing ideas.
So it should come as no surprise that a city that's home to these historic breakthroughs is also the birthplace of this, the M2 folding electric bike from FLIT, which has a very nifty folding mechanism. So we've come to Cambridge to give it a little test drive and to find out more about this dinky little commuter.
Our 3 free YouTube channels on EVs and clean energy tech are funded by our fun-packed test drive-tastic events in the North, West and Greater London, and our events down under. Next up, Everything Electric heads to Cheltenham and then Twickenham. All events include a B2B EV day and commercial vehicles too. And now, back to the episode.
I must say, this is a really pleasant and enjoyable ride so far. And the benefit, of course, of having teeny tiny wheels is that actually you accelerate super quickly. So perfect for weaving in and out of traffic or moving off from the traffic lights. Those small wheels and this quite short frame also enable but it is quite firm, it is quite stiff, and of course it is, because it's a folding electric city commuter bike. It is not a mountain bike. We couldn't expect a huge amount of suspension. But its real joy and its real beauty is, of course, the fact that you can take it on public transport. So that is what we're going to do next. This bike might look pretty dinky, but actually it's been designed to accommodate a whole range of different people of different shapes and sizes. So actually you can be as little as 4'10" or as tall as 6'2" to cycle this particular version. But fear not, because you can also get an extended seat version, which means that it can accommodate people up to the height of 6'6". Very comfortably. Now, there are some things that I think are really worth pointing out here that just kind of go to show the very thoughtful care and attention to engineering. First of all, is this, which is a foldable mudguard. I made that look much more difficult than it needed to be. But that just means that when it's folded, you're not going to be scuffing that mudguard as you move out and about. The second thing is where the battery is stored. Now this is a 230 watt-hour battery, which will give you about 50 kilometers of range or 31 miles, of course, depending on the level of pedal assist or indeed your weight, sadly. But it is in here. You can take it out, charge it at home. It's all very neatly contained. And it does also mean that the wiring generally, and all of the electronics of course, is all very contained. So it means that the overall effect is that the gubbins is hidden and it's very neat and tidy. So big fan of that. This is a proprietary battery that they have indeed developed. Pop that back in there. Little design flaw, I will say, is that if you know where the battery is in a FLIT bike, and you were just to lock this up outside, you can steal that battery pretty easily, although they do have a lock that you can put on the seat. But the advice is that either you should bring this inside or take that battery out and with you. So something that's worth keeping in mind. The frame has been anodized, which means that it's very scratch resistant and keeps it looking lovely and sharp throughout its lifetime. Now, I will say that you do have to lean into the foldiness of this, the convenience of this that allows you to use it as part of your commute every single day, because it certainly doesn't embody a romantic cycling feel. But that is ultimately not the point. It is there for commuting and is very much aided by the fact that it's only 14.5 kilos. So certainly for someone like me, this is not a drama to wheel about or to lift. It has a top speed of 25 kilometers an hour or 15-ish miles an hour, but that of course is very standard for electric bikes here in the UK. And it does come with a slightly heftier price tag than perhaps people particularly want to hear. So it's £2,739. And I think where this starts to make sense is that if you are using things like Lime bikes or Voice scooters on a regular basis, this will quickly pay for itself within about 2 or 3 years if you're using those every single day. So definitely worth doing your own maths and definitely a way to save you time on your commute.
So I've lived in a few different places around the world and I love the creative ways that people find to get around. I like two-wheelers and especially bicycles because you're moving fast enough that you can get where you need to go, but you still are slow enough to discover things along the way. So when we were looking at electric bikes, we saw they were taking off, but we realized that folding bikes were a little bit undercooked. People were taking sort of existing folding bikes, but then electrifying them, and it wasn't the best way of doing it. We love folding bikes because they let you really explore, jump on the train or go where you want, bring the bike with you. So it's all about exploration. That's where the name FLIT comes from as well, because the idea is you're flitting between different places in a city and discovering places along the way. Folding e-bikes are a bit tricky because the quickest way to do it is to take an existing folding design, and there are lots of amazing ones. Folding bicycles have been around for 150 years, and then figure out a way to electrify it. The problem is, when you're incorporating a battery and a motor and all this sort of stuff, when you get to the final product that's all been added onto, that's probably not the best way to do it. It's best to do it from scratch. So we like to say we're designed electric. That meant we could, for example, put the battery in the heart of the bike. It's right in the middle. It's nice and protected. It's nice and well balanced. It rides better. It feels better. So it's all really about the integration and having the idea of where you want to go from the beginning and being able to do it from scratch. Bonding's really interesting. It's been around for a long time, but it's improved a lot in the last few decades. So it's used widely in aerospace. It holds airplane wings together and it holds the bodies together as well. It's widely used in automotive as well. Now, this is useful for the bike industry because those guys have a lot of money. So they spend all the money on development, and then we can use the products that are developed for those industries afterwards. Bonding in the automotive industry was famously developed for the Lotus Elise chassis, which is the same chassis that was then used on the Tesla Roadster. So the original Tesla car was bonded, and other cars like the Aston Martin DB9. It's made for cars that want to be lightweight but still stiff and have high performance. And so we looked at what had happened in the automotive industry. We knew we wanted to get rid of this distortion issue, so we decided to apply bonding. It's not necessarily cheaper, but it gives you a more accurate product at the end, and that's really what we were going for. When we were developing the bike, we wanted everything to be integrated into it, and we wanted it to be designed electric. Now, folding bikes have been around for 150 odd years, so there aren't really any new ideas. However, lithium-ion batteries have not been around for that long. So if you want to incorporate one of those in, you would come up with a new way of folding. So by having the battery in the heart of the bike and not having a hinge on the top tube, we had to come up with a new way of folding around the front, which we did. It turns out no one's ever done that before, so it's actually patented as well. It gets you to the same place as some of the other most compact folding bikes, but with a new method. Also, by putting the battery in that top tube meant we had a large top tube with no hinge on it, which means it's a lot stiffer. So it's a much stiffer ride than some folding bikes where you get a bit of flex that people don't like.
Now, I have been able to experience just how seamlessly this folds and unfolds, but I know that you are infinitely more experienced than I am, so I wonder if you could show us just how smooth it can be.
I'll give it a go, sure thing. So we say the bike can fold in 10 seconds and...
10 seconds, I mean, that's seriously impressive.
Takes a little bit of practice, but once you're there...
You've got the momentum on getting that back wheel out, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's it, it's done.
Ah!
Perfect for if you're...
seconds?
Yeah, if you're rushing for your train, perfect.
Yeah, very nice.
Pricing's interesting. There are lots of ways to make premium bikes. When you take a bike, an existing bike, and then you electrify it, one of the ways you can make it lighter and better is you can go into more and more exotic materials. So things like titanium, carbon fiber. Those processes are often very expensive. Our approach was to get the premium experience and the premium product by designing from scratch and putting all of that in from the start. So our bike is less than half that price. Now on the other side, there are a lot of very cheap bikes. You can buy bikes for under e-bikes for under £1,000 in the UK. You do get what you pay for essentially. So there are different types of features. So for example, we mainly work with people who are looking for very compact bikes that need to go in, for example, a train luggage rack or something like that. When you have the cheaper bikes, they often have a very simple half fold. They sort of fold like a book or a sandwich, and they're much bigger and bulkier to use. So they're heavier, they're bulkier, they're less practical, and you're much less popular on your commuter train every morning as well. We think we sit somewhere in the middle. We've used smart design to put in premium features, but kept the price relatively low for what you get, and that, I think, is the key. Making the UK is quite a big decision. Unlike quite a few other bike companies, we actually do all of the design, testing, development ourselves. This means because we have a team of engineers in-house, it's really useful for us to be hands-on. And this is both hands-on with the community of riders, so we can learn from them, what problems are we actually solving for them, and also on the production side as well, because we can always optimize things and change things. So having those two things, a community of riders and local manufacturing, allows us to essentially make a better product over time, which is something we believe in. Because the bonding process is quite unusual as well, and we developed it with UK, or at least we adapted it from the automotive industry to the bike industry with Innovate UK, it meant it was harder for us to go to existing factories and just say, can you do this for us? So we've ended up in this position where we actually have an advantage doing it ourselves in the UK because we can make better products that eventually people will pay for. And we can learn a lot along the way. Made in the UK is very complicated. Some products can be entirely made in the UK, so all the raw materials sourced here and then the final product's made here as well. Other companies just do a little bit of assembling and then call it made in the UK. We really sit more towards the end of doing most of it ourselves here, and we're quite proud of that. It's very hard to justify in the modern economy with cheaper labor elsewhere and when all of your competitors are doing it. But we think we've sort of stumbled across this genuine advantage that allows us to do it here. And we're quite proud of that as well. So we cycled the bike up Snowdon because essentially we wanted to prove a point. A lot of people, when they look at the bike, the first thing they see is the small wheels. Now, small wheels do affect the riding a little bit, but not as much as you'd expect. So for example, a lot of people don't realize that small wheels accelerate faster. So they're really good in city traffic, stop-start. That's why a lot of folding bikes have small wheels, as well as to make them more compact. We're getting a lot of questions from people saying, oh, you can't cycle a small wheel bike up a hill. Now, from an engineering point of view, it doesn't really make sense. So we just thought, well, we'll just pick the biggest hill we can find, reasonably cycle up, and cycle the bike up that. So we decided to cycle it up Snowdon, did it on a single battery charge, and made it to the top pretty comfortably. The bikes are a lot more capable than people assume.
It seems to me that when you consider an electric bike, you really need to do your own kind of personal maths, really, to understand the cost per use and understand if they justify the initial purchase price, or whether in fact actually just getting a normal bike or using the occasional limes or voids would do instead. However, if you have a very, very clear use case and a very clear commute that involves maybe a cycle, a train and then another cycle, or indeed a park and ride, then something like this is absolutely perfect and will save you a lot of time and a lot of money in the long run. And what we've seen here today is a brilliant example that is so perfectly engineered for that convenience and really elegantly executed. But that's what I think, and I'd love to know what you think in the comments. But as ever, that's all that we've got time for, so please do like and subscribe. And if you have been, thank you for watching.